Assalamu alaikum. My name is Helena and I love learning languages, especially love learning Arabic, which I've been doing for about 5 years now, but 5 years not full time. So 5 years basically part time, sort of a lot of self study, a lot of online lessons, and a few courses in person. So basically, throughout this time in which I've been learning Arabic, I've acquired a lot of different resources, a lot of different books, some of which have been more helpful and helped me make more progress than others. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. As you will see in this video, I'm going to talk about quite a lot of books. And it's important that you don't end up thinking, oh, I need to buy all of these books, I need to buy lots of different resources, I need at least 10 different resources to help me learn Arabic or any language for that matter. That is absolutely not the case. You do not need that many resources to help you learn a language. I would say what you need is maybe maximum of 3 good resources that you also enjoy using. So, for example, that could be an app. For example, I'm a really big fan of Memrise. There are quite a few good Arabic courses, one of them I'm going to talk about in a second. That could be a good textbook, preferably a textbook that you're also using alongside having an actual teacher as well. It could also be in addition to that, maybe there's another kind of book. Maybe you found a YouTube channel that helps you learn Arabic a lot. Maybe you've got a language exchange partner. And by being consistent with sort of 3 good resources, that will help you make progress. Because you don't want to be having to divide your time between different resources, getting stressed because you're not really using one, or maybe you've abandoned one, you've learnt some vocabulary from one source, but then you've not gone back to review it because you've already gone on to start another book. So it's important to be consistent. However, when you are studying, especially if you're doing a lot of self-directed study, you're studying a lot on your own, it's nice to have a few different things to help you because some resources are better at some things than others. So without much further ado, the first one I would like to recommend, and this is actually my favourite one, is the one that I started off with. So it's called Mastering Arabic 1 by Jane Whitwick and Mahmoud Rafal. So these two, they're a partnership. There's another book that they both wrote together that I'll come along to later, but they're really good. It's a perfect book for if you're starting out with learning Arabic. A lot of beginner courses, I think in the UK, use this book because it's very clear. Everything is written in there's English translations, English explanations, the instructions and everything are in English. It takes you through in a really nice way all of the letters and how they join up, which is really. I also liked at the end how it's got lots of things like at the end, sort of more advanced kind of topics, but explained in a very simple way. A lot of people, obviously, they learn Arabic because they want to be able to talk about like things that are going on in the Middle East. They want to be able to understand the news in Arabic for those kinds of reasons. And it does kind of give you an introduction to that kind of vocabulary as well. So, for example, past tense, they've got it through a minister talking about his day and what he did. So obviously, it's still done at quite a like basic level, but at least it kind of gives you that glimpse into the kind of Arabic that you might want to use in the future. So I can really recommend this one, especially if you're learning on your own. But also, I think at the beginning, it's best to have some kind of teacher to help you with the pronunciation of all the letters, to make things really clear for you and also to keep you motivated. I wouldn't recommend starting Arabic from scratch on your own. I think that would be like wading through a very deep swamp. But if you can, use this book in conjunction with a teacher, then that's really good. And also, I've got the second one, so Mastering Arabic 2, again by the same authors, and really similar in terms of its structure, in terms of the kind of level of vocabulary that it covers. Nice level of vocabulary, nice and clear. And again, towards the end, more kind of things about like what you might want to say. It's a book that treats you like an adult, basically. Quite a lot of beginner language books sometimes can be too basic or a little bit boring. But this one is actually really, really nice. So, for example, it has at the end of each unit, it has a section about an Arabic-speaking country, with lots of nice vocabulary that's clearly picked out and explained. Tells you where it is, like a bit of a fact file. So again, it just broadens your cultural awareness and your grammar and your vocabulary all at the same time. Now, alongside those two books, I would really recommend using an app which is called Memrise. If you're someone who learns languages anyway, you'll probably have heard of Memrise. It's one of the most popular language learning apps, and it's the one that I can really recommend the most. I started using it at university and got a bit addicted to it. I'm still addicted to it now. But basically, someone has really kindly made all of the vocabulary from books 1 and books 2 into a Memrise course. So, for example, it means that like this is kind of what the app looks like. So, let me see if I can get this one correct. So, if I listen to it, Mufid. Okay, so that means beneficial. Yes, I got that one right. So basically, it means that you will. There we are. It means that you will be able to hear all of the words. You'll hear them pronounced, which helps you remember it, and you'll be able to kind of test yourself on your vocabulary. So if you can use those two books together with the app, then it will be really beneficial for you. That's what I would really recommend. Alongside the course, those two courses, Mastering Arabic, or maybe it's not really alongside, but anyway, the same two people, Jane Whitwick and Mahmoud Ghaffar, have also written this book, which is the Easy Arabic Reader. I'll be honest, I've not gone through all of this yet. Again, this is what I was talking about, where when you buy too many Arabic resources, you end up sort of flitting from one to another, and you never get that sense of achievement of having finished the books. So it's, that's one disadvantage of buying a lot of resources. But I have worked my way through certainly the beginning. So, for example, the first bit goes through sort of like someone who's talking about how he's going to visit his family in the Middle East. So, kind of like different postcards, all of the different things that he did, like diary entries, really nicely explained. It's then got like a modern interpretation. Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. So just here, which I really want to read. I really want to finish reading that because it looks really nice. And I love how they've made it really clear, easy, lots of nice things to test your comprehension and vocabulary as well. So I can recommend this one if you're sort of like more maybe at a intermediate level. I would say, I think there's a lot of new vocabulary, and especially when I looked towards the end of the book, it did look like, it's definitely for strong intermediates, or at least very strong beginners. It says actually you need to be at that kind of level. It can be a bit depressing when you actually see a book where you think, oh gosh, that's actually quite hard, and then it's only for advanced beginners. But I guess that's how Arabic is. Another resource that I used at the beginning a lot is this series. If you're Muslim and you've been to any mosques or any Islamic shops, you'll know this one. So Miftah al-Arabiya, or Gateway to Arabic. I've kind of gone back to looking through book 4. The first few books are really nice for just gaining your confidence with basic vocabulary, with writing and joining letters. So I can recommend them just as a nice little workbook to work through, especially maybe if you've not got a lot of energy and you just want something to help you reinforce the basics. The first couple in the series are really nice for that. However, there's something sort of a little bit about as you get more advanced and you start looking at different resources, and especially resources that are written, by Arabs themselves. I'll show you what I mean. Right. So you start off here with someone talking about their family. Really nice vocabulary, everything clear, wonderful. Then you go on to talking about the home, and again, lots of nice vocabulary there, really great. So I basically just highlight all of the stuff that I don't know, so that I then know to focus on those words, which is good. I really like the vocabulary. And then you get on to the grammar, which is doubled root letter verse, and then all of the conjugations in all of the pronouns and everything, and it's just too much. This is one thing that I've found a little bit with, as I said, Arabic resources sometimes, is that they will just bombard you with a lot of grammar. that doesn't really take into account, I think, how people really learn. I don't think there are many people who are going to look at this and really learn it and be able to attain it and remember it in a couple of days after they've originally sat down and learnt it. It's too much. So I just highlight the things that are worth like really looking at, that are worth me really trying to remember. Again, I really like this book for vocabulary. So here it's got more examples of double data verbs that are really nice examples that I would probably use actually in my life. So again, I make a note of those. But yeah, there's just something about the grammar, it's just too much. So kind of related to that, and a book that because of this issue I wish I had found a lot earlier is called this one. So it's Arabic Verb Tenses by my favourite duo, Jane Whitwick and Mahmoud Ghaffar. So this one I love. I wish, as I said, I wish I had found it earlier because again, it just explains every concept really clearly, just like they did in Mastering Arabic 1 and 2. It's got lots and lots of practice for you to get better. It goes through all of the different kinds of verbs, like assimilated, weak, in a very clear, broken down way that anyone really can understand. And I really like it. Also, it's not just sort of verbs. They've really been very comprehensive. So, for example, as you may know, there's not really a present tense version of the verb to be. So obviously they can't cover that, but instead they cover kind of like things like adjective agreements. So they do cover like a lot of different grammar resources as well. So the grammar points, so adjective agreement, feminine like singular, they're all non-human plurals are feminine singular. That's all gone into in nice amount of detail in this book. So I would definitely, I wish I had got this a lot earlier, and I would really recommend. So now I've just got a couple more things, I think 3 more things that I want to share with you. I have had an Arabic teacher on Italki for about the last 2 years, which has been great. Italki is something that I would really recommend for anyone, especially now that we're all sort of stuck indoors a lot more. It's harder probably to go into proper classes. So Italki is a platform where you basically can choose a tutor online. They're often very sort of cheap or very affordable, certainly, especially for Arabic. So they're really worth, it's really worth checking out. And this is the textbook that I was using with my Arabic teacher on Italki, so Arabiya Beina Yadayk. I think it's quite a popular series. I think it was it was written in Saudi Arabia, and it's good. I really like the reading. So the reading text, the listening texts are all quite nice and clear. Nice vocabulary, like dialogues that you can listen to, and then lots and lots of comprehension questions. The main focus, I guess, of this series is about your reading, listening, and comprehension. There are some speaking questions that are prompts that you can obviously do with your teacher. Again, for me, I don't know whether this is because I am a language teacher myself. I teach French and German in a secondary school. And I don't know whether it's because of my background, but I always think with certain, this textbook is a good example where they will kind of throw in a certain grammar point or a certain pronunciation point, but it's not clear why they've decided to teach you that at that point. So they'll kind of throw it at you, and then there's not really much opportunity for you to practice or see it really in context. So, for example, here they've gone through Aleph, and then the Aleph with the mad kind of vocalization on top. I'm not saying it's not important to know this, but I don't quite, why have they done it now? Like, it wasn't really featured much in the pages before it. It's not featured that much in the text after it. So it's not really very clear, sort of, when I teach, I try and make sure that everything's shown in context and then give the pupils a lot of time to practice that thing in context afterwards. And I don't think that this textbook is built on that model. It's very like, here's your reading, here's grammar, okay, now we move on. And for that reason, I wouldn't recommend it at all for self-directed study on your own. It's best to have a teacher, or there is someone who has really nicely made lots and lots of videos on YouTube in which he basically teaches from this book. So I'll put the link to that series in the description below, because it's helped me out a lot. So I finished this book with my teacher, and now because I'm worried that I'm sort of starting to forget a lot of the vocabulary, I've decided to go back through it with the help of that video. So I'm picking out and making more notes, which is great. And also with my Arabic teacher now, I'm going through a book called Al-Arabiyya Al-Nashin. I will put the link again in the description because I found that they're all available for free online, which is fantastic. It's quite a nice book. It's aimed more for children. All of the reading texts are about children and going off to the beach with their parents and stuff like that. So it is for children. I would say the reading is quite nice. There's more of a focus on grammar than in Arabia Bain Yadik, which is quite helpful. Again, for me, it's got that same problem of, you learn a lot of the grammar, but it's not really put that much into context. They also focus a lot on the dual form, which is fine. I mean, I'm not saying it's not useful, but again, it depends what your aim is as an Arabic student. And it's not, for me, it's maybe not the most useful thing at the moment. But anyway, there's that. And then my final one is, if you are Muslim and you want to learn Arabic of the Quran, then this series, Access to Quranic Arabic, is amazing. I made a lot of progress in terms of understanding the Arabic of the Quran thanks to this book. It has all of the most common words here for you, which is great. So it's all broken down. These are like the most common words that feature in the Quran, which is great. And then it's got all of the examples, all of the examples for all of the vocabulary, and also the grammar points. So for example, here, what grammar are we doing? Nouns, adjectives, and number. Okay, and then it will show you lots of different examples. So not just random examples like from a normal grammar book, but they're examples that are all related to the Quran. So each time, like, you're really benefiting, and in so many ways when you follow this book. So there's a pack of 3. So I got this one, which is the textbook. There's a green one, which is called Access to Quranic Arabic Selections, which is selections from the Quran with audio, and then the vocabulary you might not know is written at the side, which is nice. There's a workbook as well. So that's it. I know that was quite a lot. Obviously, I'm not saying that anyone needs to go out and buy all of these things, but if you are a bit stuck, if you wanted some ideas for things to help you a little bit more with your Arabic, then I hope that that was helpful. And yeah, I will leave any links in the description below. And yeah, Assalamu alaikum, take care, bye.